Okay, so in a previous video, I made a contribution to this campaign. It's now been, well, I would say way over an hour since I did that contribution, and I'm now back doing the second part of this video. But you'll notice that my numbers reflecting the number of approvers and the campaign balance, right, is still 0. So let me try a hard refresh and seeing what happens. There we go. So now we see, sorry, I was blocking this part. So I said campaign balance was down here, which was also 0. So now we're seeing campaign balance 0.001, which is the amount of Ether I had contributed, and number of approvers. So when I get the refresh on the screen, the number of approvers and account balance was updated to 1 and 0.001. So you might have expected to see these numbers automatically update after I submitted that contribution request. Unfortunately, that's not how things work. Just because I made a change to my contract, that's not going to automatically cause R.I.S.E to update the contract numbers that we see on the screen. To actually get these to update, I have to refresh my source of data, so to speak. At present, I'm pulling information off my smart contract inside of the campaigns show file. Let me go back to my code editor. So my campaign, let me close that up. Where's my contracts? So it can't be, no, not in here. Where's my campaign show file? Let's see. Campaign show. There it is. It was in pages. It's been a while since I've worked with this particular, I've gotten back to working with this particular project. So, all right. So getting back on track. So I'm in the campaigns folder and the show.js file. And specifically, I want you to look at this get initial props function. That's where I access my campaign, and that's where I call the get summary function on it, and then return all that information for use inside of my component, all this information here, okay? So if I want to get all that information to update inside of my component, I have to somehow rerun this get initial props function. So I have to run the get initial props. I have to get my summary off the campaign, and I have to return it again and have the entire component re-render. So doing this inside of Next, I've gone about it right now in a roundabout fashion. To somehow refresh a component or get this entire function, here to rerun and re-render the entire campaign show is to, or show page is to use a router object to refresh the current route that I'm looking at. And I made the router object back when I was working on campaign new. So again, the campaign folder, new.js, and there's the router right here, okay? So in this folder, or in this file, I use my router to navigate to another route inside the application. And I can use the router again, but rather than navigating to a different route, I can tell it to refresh the current route that I'm looking at. And so refresh campaigns, looking at this, so it'll be something like, oops, geez. So it'll be something like, you know, campaigns and, you know, whatever the address is. And when I do, so I'm saying refresh that. And when I do that, the router will cause the get initial props to run, refresh all my campaign data, and show this same component on the screen, but with new data instead. So I'm going to head back to my contribute form component. I'm going to import router at the top. And what else? I'm going to import router into this component, and then I'm going to use the router to update the page to refresh all of that campaign data. So let me go ahead and put this together from, and this is going up one directory to routes. All right. Now do remember that we're using these curly braces here with this import because the routes file exports multiple different properties, and right now I only want the router. So previously I had used a function on the router called push route. Where'd it go? That was a new. There it is, push route, right? And when you call push route, it creates a new entry in the browser's history. So anytime a user presses the back button, there's going to be an additional address that they navigate back to. When I'm refreshing the page, I don't want that behavior. I don't want the user to press the back button and go back to the same URL that they're looking at. To refresh the page, I want to use a slightly different function. So back inside of contribute form, I want to head over to the onSubmit function here. And inside of this try catch, what I'm going to add to that, I'm going to put it right above the catch error here. I'm going to say router dot replace route. So instead of push, if you look here, so instead of push route, I'm using replace route. And now I'm going to set up some backticks / campaigns. Should be campaigns, right? Let me make sure. Yep, campaigns. So campaigns, then let's set this. I'll explain what I'm doing here in a second. This.props.address. All right. Okay, so there's a couple things going on here. So first, I'm using an ES 2015 template string here. So ensure, that's why I mentioned backticks, ensure that you have some backticks there. Next, I'm passing in the URL of the current page that I'm looking at. And so this is what's going to cause the refresh of the current page. So this.props.address here is the address of the current campaign that I'm looking at. So I'm just saying refresh the page, and when that happens, I will rerun the get initial props. Where'd that go? The get initial props there, get initial props function, and update all the campaign data that I see. So I'm going to go ahead and test this out inside the browser. Before I go ahead and contribute again, let me do another hard refresh. Okay, good. And so now I'm going to add another 0.001 and attempt to contribute, and then I will submit. Or I'm going to hit contribute there, and then here you should once again get the MetaMask pop-up, and then I'm going to hit on confirm. Now I'm just going to sit and wait a little bit, a 15 to 30 second wait while the transaction confirms. And when the transaction is confirmed, there will be, there's not going to be a whole lot of change to the page, except the numbers here should change. So we're waiting the 15 to 30 seconds, which, and there it is, confirmed transaction. You see that here, MetaMask confirms the transaction. Transaction form confirmed. If you want to view it, click on that on Etherscan. If not, you can just close, because we can confirm it right here. So we have 2 approvers and a campaign balance of 0.002. So we just refreshed the current page, which caused our get initial props to run, refetch information off the campaign, and display it on the screen. Pretty elegant solution. Now, anytime a user contributes, I'm properly updating the content on the screen, right? So last thing is I have to handle error messages and placing a loading spinner on the button. And I'm going to take care of that in a subsequent video.